everyone, my name's Kelsey and I'm a lawyer here at Legal Beagle, and today we want to talk to you about our top tips for first home buyers. My first tip, and this may sound like an obvious one, is to make sure that you have your finance sorted and you understand what you can and can't afford before you put an offer in on the house. So when you're sorting out your finances, there are 5 things that I recommend you have a look at. First of all, how much money do you already have saved up? Secondly, how much are you able to withdraw from your KiwiSaver? Third, are you eligible for the Housing New Zealand Home Start grant? Fourth, how much money are you actually going to need to borrow from a bank or another lending institution to be able to complete this transaction? And fifthly, what's your ability to repay any loan that you need to get? Since you've just heard me mention KiwiSaver and the Home Start grant, I thought now would be just a useful time for me to put in a little disclaimer. That is, KiwiSaver and Home Start, they are not quick and easy processes. With KiwiSaver, we recommend that you get in touch with your provider as soon as you can to find out how much money might be available to you. KiwiSaver, your provider requires at least 10 working days to process all of your application documents, which means you probably want to be starting your process of actually filling out those application forms a good 15-20 working days before your settlement date, just to be on the safe side and just to make sure that there is enough time to get your KiwiSaver money into your lawyer's trust account before settlement. With Home Start, there are strict criteria as to whether or not you'll be able to apply for this grant, so we recommend that you get your pre-approval sorted out as soon as you know that you're going to be looking at buying a house, so you know exactly how much money you might actually have available to you. Then once you've got a contract in place, your lawyer will contact Home Start and they will send through an agreement, and then that's part of the documentation that your lawyer will get you to sign for settlement as your Home Start application. We find that with Home Start it can actually take quite a while to get the money out of them, and so just to save on everyone's stress on settlement day, again we recommend that you get the wheels in motion with your Home Start application as soon as possible. My second tip is to always engage your lawyer before you've actually signed your agreement to sell and purchase. If you've already engaged your lawyer, it means that they can have a look over the agreement sale and purchase before it's been signed and tweak it to suit your needs. That may mean that we make the agreement conditional on finance or a LIM report, building report, due diligence. There's a number of things that you might want to make it conditional on that you sometimes don't have the opportunity to put those conditions in when you're feeling pressured by an agent or a vendor to get the deal over the line. We understand that it can be tempting to make an unconditional offer just to appear as the most attractive potential purchaser to the vendor. This applies especially in places such as Auckland, where there's a really fast moving property market. But you need to understand that conditions are your friends. As a first home buyer, you should be putting conditions in your contract. Conditions are your safety net that can ultimately prevent you from being locked into a contract that you're not happy to be locked into, or that you're ultimately not going to be able to fulfill. Get your lawyer to check over the contract before it's signed so that you know that you are being protected. Alright, my third really important tip for first home buyers is don't rush towards a settlement date. Occasionally in the office we get the impression that some clients think buying a house ought to be a very quick process, and while that would be really ideal, it's not actually the case. And what we find happening is we will receive contracts that are due to settle in less than a week, and that puts a lot of pressure on and a lot of stress. And for first home buyers, what we find is they're often already just stressed by the situation that they're in as it is. So to try and mitigate that stress, don't put yourself under any sort of pressure to have this really fast turnaround on the settlement date. What people sometimes don't realise is that your lawyers are actually doing a lot of work behind the scenes in the lead up to settlement. And if you're getting a mortgage, which most first home buyers are, that needs to add bank timeframes into the mix as well. So when you consider the timeframes involved for your lawyers to have everything prepared for settlement, as well as your bank to have the mortgage organised, and you then try and cram that into a very quick turnaround settlement, it can create a lot of stress for you, for your lawyer, and for your bank manager. And when you've got all this pressure and stress from you, your lawyer, and your bank manager, worst case scenario, on settlement day, it can actually become quite touch and go as to whether or not settlement's going to go ahead, because we might not have the money in time. And if you don't settle on settlement day, you can then become liable to pay penalty interest to the vendor. So when you're signing your agreement sale and purchase, we recommend that you put that settlement date at some point in the future. We recommend around 20 working days. So that's 4 weeks from the date that the agreement is signed up until the date that you'll be moving into the house. And not only that, but we recommend a minimum of 5 working days between the contract becoming unconditional and the settlement date, because a lot of the actual preparation work for settlement we can't begin to do until we know that the agreement is unconditional. Our fourth tip for first home buyers is make sure that you've got the money available to pay the deposit when it needs to be paid. So between you and the vendor, you can agree on any figure as the deposit that you're going to pay. Normally it's about 10%. But the thing is that once you've decided on a figure that is going to be paid, you need to have the money to pay it. This ties back in with our first point. Make sure that that cash in the bank that you've got saved up, make sure that that's actually going to be enough to cover the deposit that you have said that you're going to pay. If you're planning on using your KiwiSaver or drawing down part of your loan early to pay for your deposit, make sure that you have told your lawyer that well in advance of when it's due to be paid, so that they can get the ball rolling with getting all the paperwork sorted that needs to be done to be able to have access to those funds on the date that you need it. Our fifth and final tip, and this is super important, don't panic on settlement day. While it would be absolutely lovely to have the keys in your hand ready to move in by 9 AM on settlement day, that's not always realistic. There are many things that could potentially hold up a settlement. There might be a delay with the vendor's lawyer for some reason, there might be a delay with your bank, or there might be a delay with your lawyer as well if they're not completely prepared to go. The process on settlement day is basically, as the purchaser's lawyers, we have to sit there and wait until we hear from the vendor's lawyers. The vendor's lawyers have to tell us that they're all completely good to go and ready to complete settlement. Once that's happened and we make sure that we've got the money in from the bank, we pay the money to the vendor's lawyers. Their lawyers confirm that they've received that money and they release the keys. So that's really important to know, is that you do not get the keys, you do not get access to the property until all the money's been paid over. And so that means that if there are any of these delays, such as if we are unable to get money from your bank until the afternoon, you won't be able to have access to the property and you won't be able to move in until the afternoon. While that's an inconvenience, the key thing is just don't stress out about it. It doesn't mean that anything's going wrong or not going to plan. It just means that things are going at a slightly slower pace than what you might have wanted them to. And those were our top 5 tips for first home buyers. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope that you learned something. If you have any comments, or if you have an idea of a future video that you might be interested in seeing, please comment below. We'd really love to hear your feedback. And also, if you've got any questions, remember that on our Facebook page we run a free advice Friday every single week. So you can just type in your questions and one of our legal team will get back to you with an answer by the end of the day.